Hey, how you guys doing? Let's do it to it. Okay, okay. Alright, let's give them the French, boys. Let's give them the French. Castle. Okay. Let's see if I can't undermine this here. Hold on. Don't move till you see it. Let's see if I can't get in there. Force those two pawns. got him. Boom. Good. I'm undermining this structure right here. Oh shoot. Well, no. I'm okay. Let's see. There has to be a way to save this. Let me see here. It's okay. It's a good learning lesson. let's give her another shot. Let's see how you guys are doing. Put this guy away fast and hard. There we go. Create the pyramid. Come on. There we go. Try to break through with the center. I should try to break through in the center here. Try the knight to E. I'm gonna try right there to E5. Then I can take this pawn here with a discovery on the rook. Ooh, nice. Boom. We're now going for that KO. His position's starting to fall apart. Boom, with a fork. I'm going to double up here and threaten to take his rook. See if I can't. Let's see if I can't get my pawn back with interest. Oh shoot, that's me. Oh, that was horrible. Okay, so that actually was best. I thought about that. Give it one more shot. Okay. Let's see if we can't get queen and start. There we go. Hold on, I gotta stay. I can do better. I'm gonna try to see if I can't shoot for that. Of course, after there, I'm just gonna try to check there and then move, and I should be fine. Hey. Wow. I gotta do one more. That was horrible. My move sequence was wrong, so let's try one more. We gotta win this one. Come on. Let's see if I can't come in there. I have the rook right on the queen now. Let's see if I can't get in there. Come on. Okay. Doing a engine move, wham, attacks there. Coming crashing right on through. I might take here and then play up maybe and see if I can't get a huge bind in the on the king side. I gotta make sure this works. Probably I should have played here, now that I think about it. Because that pins the bishop. But actually that doesn't. He could actually take, now that I think about it, protected by the queen. So I did do the right move. Alright, whew. That was kind of a close one. Now I gotta get my other pieces into the fight. I'm gonna put my rook over there. See if I can't eyeball that. You want to keep the pressure on your opponent. I bring my other rook over. Keep an eye on that. So I'm gonna play actually queen up here, and I'm gonna try to shoot for h5. Harry, Harry. That's how we got it. That's how we roll. I'm gonna go h5. So he's thinking about doing that, is he? Now I have that, and that is a threat. Yes. Oh. So he allotted me to come in. Thank you very much. Thinking about playing rook e7. Keep the pressure on your opponent. Don't let him breathe. Boom. Right there. Oh, oh no. I could pick up my knight here. That's okay. I could also, though, after that, I could play king there and then maybe pick up a pawn there. There we go. Okay, that was a mistake, but still recovered. Let's see what would have been actually the best move instead of there. So this move here. Well, if he plays here, if he comes over and grabs that, then you can actually grab there. Okay. So at this point, if he takes, let's say he goes all the way back, check, check, okay, gotcha. Alright, we'll do the other London system. That's great. Got a win there. So, alright, this is a really good game. This is a game between Bobby Fischer as white and T. Petrosian as black. And so, it actually started out E4. So don't worry, this this move actually transposes into the London system. So don't worry. He's like the author was saying, don't be in horror don't be upset. He says, because guess what? This will transpose. The Caro-Kann can actually transpose into the London system. So he's like, don't fret. Because we all think about, oh no, why not D4? D4 exclam. Oops, I have to move. There we go. D4 exclam. That's kind of. Oops. What happened here? Wait a second. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I thought something bad happened, but nope, everything's fine. D4, D5. This is what he's saying, that this is actually a line as well that could transpose C5. So he takes knight C6, and then bishop D3, and we get to a position where you have a setup like this. The pawns are pointing towards the thing. It says, so don't worry, that can our other moves can transpose into that as well. So it's one thing we can't fret, is the London system is full of many different openings. That's why it's called a system, not like a Caro-Kann opening or anything. It's a system of moves. And you have to get the patterns down, and even I haven't mastered the patterns yet, so because I still lose some games sometimes with white. But I get to some points sometimes where I don't know where I'm going. I got to work on not playing inferior moves. Bishop to D3, knight C6, C3. Okay, now we're transposing back into the London system. Queen, and here's the right there. A5, check. Bishop goes back. Queen C2. This is actually, surprisingly, this is world champion Bobby Fischer. Or Robert Fischer. It all depends. You call him Bobby or Robert. So let's see here. A5. Hold on. Okay. If you don't want to go A5, you could actually play Queen to C8. It looks kind of odd, but you could actually do that. And after knight D2, E6, knight GE3, or GF3, bishop E7, castles, castles, and then E5, queen C2, bishop H, queen C2, and then bishop G6, knight takes G6, because you want to get rid, you don't want to give up your good bishops. H takes, and the bishop, and now we've entered a very similar London setup. This is kind of so we have a this was line A. There's actually line B that goes if you want to do queen D2, knight, same setup with the knights, E6, same because you want to get the bishop out. So the moves are almost the same, except it's E7 instead of C8. Okay, D6, E5, E takes, which actually is a question mark here. Oops, not a exclam. My bad. E takes because now you're attacking the knight. H5, bishop E3, A6, H3, knight takes, and then bishop to F1, bishop F5, G4, and you black has a. Does he have enough for the piece? Maybe, because here, it's got 3 pawns for the piece. Is it enough? And white's king's not really that safe, so, and we can always retreat our knight back. So it's the 3 pawn idea that you always have to keep an eye out for. So on move 10, let me see, where are we? So D7 here. Instead of takes, there's actually queen C7 here is actually the best move because you're doubling up on the there, and so castles, E5, not E5. Hold on, let me see. Oh, nope, not E4. Then there's A1 to keep an eye on the knight, and there's compensation for black. Black's not better, but he's not any worse off than he was before. And then let me see here. There's on move. Let me see. Where's my notes say? Oh, on move 12. Here we go. Instead of A6, there's actually knight takes E5, and then there's bishop B5, knight C6 forced to intercept, and then F3 exclam move because you're gonna pick up a piece now for just 2 pawns. Let me see. Hold on. My spot F3. Okay. Bishop F, and then G4. Now this now wins. The other line, black gets 3 pawns for the piece. This line, black only gets 1 pawn for the piece. 1. Okay. A5 check. D7. C2. E3. E6. F3. Knight F3. Bishop, Queen B6. And then A4, which I like this. I actually like the A4 move. I thought it was very dynamically set up, and we have the threat of potentially going B4 and getting some queenside expansion, which is what we need right now since the center's locked up. For all purposes, the center is locked up. Black can't go there, and if he did, we would take. So there is no movement in the center. When that happens, you try to switch to the wing of the attack, the side attack, and instead there's and also denies the the bishop wants to go to B5, so A4 denies that, prepares there, and that. So it's an all-purpose, all-round good move. The knight went rook D to C8. There is another line. If white wanted to play Queen B3, that it doesn't help much at all, because of course we're not going to trade. That'd be silly. That allows the knight to come in, and we don't want that. We would be in big trouble at that point. So we get this move actually gets exclaimed because it's prophylactic. It's a prophylactic move with the idea of being bishop to B4 or B5. Then when bishop takes B5, queen takes, pawn takes, and then we've opened up an attack on the B5 pawn. And now the B5 pawn, remember, we desire after this takes to get to B5. We get it right away, so hurrah! That's really beneficial for us. Okay, let me see. After queen, okay, knight C4. Hold on. Queen C1. Exclaim. There we go. And black's queen gets rejected. Next move with knight BD2. The queen has to beat tail, as they say, and leave. And so rather than, if the queen doesn't go to E2 but plays this inferior C1 move, it's actually very dubious. It doesn't have any applicability for anything. The knight comes into C, and black actually looks good here in my opinion. I think black's really stepping up their game with that. So that's why A4. Instead of knight C8, you got to see rook C8. You got to see the other line. Queen B3 is a idea, but we don't have to take. We just move our queen, make a battery along the the F1 to A6 diagonal, and then we can rock the school, rock the house. So knight BD2. Knight C6, and then queen to B1 with the idea of going up the board. It also sidesteps a little trick that they like to play in this line. They love to play this knight to B4 because this rook's eyeballing the queen. right there. This is a pinned pawn, and he would have to give his, are we to give up our good bishop for the knight. So queen to b1 just sidesteps it, says, well, what you gonna do now? If you try your idea, we just take. We don't much mind. We're the one that's pushing. And by the way, don't you forget, we have b4, b5. So you're not out of the woods, my friend. So he plays h5. Bonvinic actually wrote about this a little bit. He played. I think he actually looked at this game against Petrosian, and he didn't understand why Petrosian didn't actually play bishop to e7, castles and castles, and e5. Hold on, where's e5? Oh, e5 offers white good chances, but so he doesn't understand why Petrosian didn't kind of do that. Knight h5 really doesn't do much. It's an interesting move because it goes after the bishop, but eventually once the bishop retreats to e3, the knight's going to have to go back. So it's like wasting a whole tempo, or tempi. And it's like, really? What did you actually accomplish? Really nothing. And so knight to e5 exclam. There is a very passive move that you can play for white, which would be castling. It doesn't. You have to sometimes be active. Oops, come on. You got to be active when your opponent is playing very passive. Like this knight is going to have to come in, so you're going to want to take a big time for a huge attack there and go wham. And if he takes, then you can actually take back and play bishop to e2, and then you're picking off his knight because he doesn't have any squares to go to. So this was also a potential line. d6, g3, and knight to c6. And black looks fine here. I don't really see any weaknesses for black in this line. I think he's rock solid, and white castled, and what does white have for compensation? Nothing. Zero. White has 0 for compensation. Quoting from The Big Short, 0. So that's why e5 was played here. Exclam. There's knight to f6. You could go. There is this potential idea of knight takes, pawn takes, because of course we have to take, then c5, c5, because the idea is if he doesn't play c5, he has to play c5 because of course the queen's under fire. Bishop takes, queen takes, and let me see. Oh, castles. Oh, I thought it was bishop to e2, but castles actually gets an exclam because now you're getting ready to play something like this or get your bishop involved. So let me see. Okay, knight f4, knight f3. And white controls the d4 square, which is a outpost for the knight, so this is really good. And it's also on the opposite color of the bishop, so in my opinion slightly white stands better. And if white gets a little too greedy, instead of castles, and then goes g3, which is actually a mistake here, black can turn the tables on white and actually go d4 exclam. And this totally shakes up the floor, the dance floor on this one, because the knight to c4, because we can't allow this to open. if they take and then we take back, queen takes, and our whole queen side's disintegrated, and then we have to move. So the knight is actually forced to intercept there. King takes, king castles, castles, pawn takes, and b takes, and then bishop to c6, and now there's a big time trouble gonna be coming down the line with a mating threat. Ouch. And that just one wrong move turned the tide of the battle. So knight f6. So h3, bishop d6, and castles, king f8. This is what he says. One of my students showed me this move. I would be basically yelling, like really upset, he says. But when Petrosian does it, this is another matter. He joked a little bit. This is a fine-tuned sense of danger, warning him that the black walks into basically a storm of bullet fire, if you want to think about it. After castling, he would walk into boom, boom, wham, wham, and then wham. So there's a lot of attack coming. So to avoid that setup, because he doesn't want to be here, he could just move his king and then potentially bring his rook to e8, then maybe just walk it over to the queen side, and then he's safer. But if he castled, I'll show you what castle would look like. This is what Petrosian saw. See, look at all these like torpedo missiles just coming right at the king. It's like wham, boom, kabooey, and smash. Bobby has all of his pieces just saying hello. Everything's pointing at at the king. So Petrosian goes, I think not. I am not going to castle into that berserker of an attack. That'd be that's a little too courageous, in my opinion. I don't think that'd be a wise decision. So Bobby just goes, okay, you're right on the file with my rook. All I have to do is open it up, and then now I have a rook that's in the fight now. So that's the cool thing about Bobby. He knew exactly when to throw a pawn up the board. And he actually, Bobby, I think he lost like one time a really bad game. So he went for a year into his pawn studies, and he got really good at pawn play. And so after that, well, you guys got to see, he became world champion. So there's something about endgame study, pawns, skeletons, all that is very important to learn. So maybe after the London system, we may go into some endgame study, maybe with a little bit of the French, but we should build up our endgame play. And maybe I'll bring some old-time puzzles, and we'll have you guys see if you guys can do them. I'll have, because that'll be fun. Okay, let's see. Instead of, Petrosian went to e8. If you're thinking that knight takes at this moment would be a well-timed idea, no, that's a complete blunder. Because of course, f takes, bishop takes, pawn takes, actually a5, sorry, a5, excuse me, with a exclam mark there, and this breaks the queen pin on the bishop there, because if we tried to take here, he actually has that check. So this move right here though breaks that idea, because there's no way to stay on this diagonal. And when of course, when it moves, then the bishop's gonna fall, and then we play bishop there, and it's like, too late, my friend, too late. So a5, beautiful move, sweet. That's why Petrosian went bishop to e8, bishop to f2. The bishop joins the fight via rerouting to h4. So here and into h4, and we then now can bring the bishop back to life with great superiority, or whatever they call that. It's gonna be like, it's back right in the fight, and then so queen c7 to see if he can't, he's getting off there, trying to maybe reroute the knight, go after this knight, so boom. The position looks similar to some of the favorable reverse stonewalls at the Dutch attack in our chapter 1 that we actually played. This is actually much better for white here. It's a stonewall type of setup with white controlling. Remember, in the stonewall, whoever can control, for white wants to control e5 and black wants to control e4. But if you notice, white has superiority control at this moment. If the knight tried to come there, we would just rip the knight off and be a pawn up. This bishop, if the knight trades off, would be a fork. If this bishop trades off, the pawn would take, and then Bobby would have a rook on the f file. So this would not be fun. He also can potentially take there afterwards as well, and then double the pawns, and very, very bad. We don't want to see that line. That would be very painful, too painful to watch. So knight g8. After this move, Fischer roughly basically shuffled all of his pieces over to the king side, and he played f4 with just devastating attack. Black should have tried wrong knight. Should have tried knight to e7 and tried to seal up his defenses a little bit, potentially with knight to g6, and kind of held the fort down. But Petrosian got a little too overzealous on some of the attack, and he did defend, but wrong. This wasn't. You don't want to move a piece back like that. You want to keep the piece here and bring more reinforcements in. You want to, because you have look at this rook just eyeballing the king right there. So f5 was played. e5. There's also a potential bishop takes, d takes, knight takes. Actually, d takes, not knight takes. Bishop d7 and bishop g3. Also leaves black fighting basically for his life. Black's going under. He's like, what really can he do? There's nothing. Because I know you're saying, can't he just go there? Yeah, but then if he takes there, you can see there's a fork. And then if the bishop takes, which is forced, the queen takes, and now there's such a massive attack without getting these rooks here, queen then could take, queen could actually take, and knight comes in, bishop there. It's like, wow, a massive attack. So that'd be a bad move for black to have done. That's why this was played instead. Okay, f6. I'm not f6. Knight takes, d takes, so takes, and then pawn takes. So now he's up, I believe. Let me see, 5. Nope, they're equal pawns, but Bobby's piece is safer. Knight f3. Bishop takes bishop. Knight takes bishop. Knight f6, and then knight to g6. Check. G takes, and then g takes. Black's biggest problem is his rook basically asleep on h8 here. So in theory, black is playing a piece down. You'd probably say, but hold on, isn't the a rook asleep? No. See, the queen can always do a huge dance all the way to f5, and then this rook awakes like a sleeping giant into the fight. But this rook is blocked by the king, and there's no way this king could actually come out. I mean, the rook can come out. Petrosian does, in my opinion, a pretty amazing move of deep calculation. He's still losing, but it's a deep calculation. King to f7 is, in my opinion, is a really high-powered move. You have to have courage, because his idea is to get his rook into the fight. He knows that if he doesn't get this h rook in, he's gonna get disintegrated by Bobby. He needs to get all of his pieces in. And e7 is like walking into a hellstorm, either in space or running through a minefield, on a battlefield. You know what I mean? You're gonna be getting every place you're gonna step could be the end of your king, especially when you have 3 major pieces still on the board. Not a very wise decision, but Petrosian knew that he had to get his other piece in. If he didn't, he's going to be losing here. So it's kind of a I like the move. It reminds me of a berserker kind of idea. They're very focused on a purpose. They were thought to be crazy, the berserkers, but their goal was they were all in. And so Petrosian, my idea with him playing e7 is he's all in right now. It's all or none, and he knows he has to do e7. Otherwise, like I've said a couple other times before, it's over. And Bobby most definitely would be able to execute that like that. Not even a problem. So that's why the move got an exclam mark. Queen f5, and then knight to d8. There's also knight d6 king d6 that could be played here. Rook a e1. Well, because what you're wanting to do with a king hunt, you're wanting to cut off all the squares, and so the king's getting hunted at this moment down, and it's running like David running through from his enemies for a while. He had to run from Saul, and he ran into the wilderness for safety. It's kind of very similar to that if you want to think about it. So knight, so a8, queen c5, check, king h1, c7, bishop f4 to make it so the king doesn't get to a safe spot in the woods. King b6, b4, boom. It's like saying, did you forget your general, your main lieutenant, your main general guy, and there are gal, depends. So b6, okay, queen takes, rook c1, So we're going to try to get a queen for 2 rooks. Bishop beats queen b2. This would actually not benefit black because the queen and the rook's guarding it. Okay, let's see, queen. Hold on, let me make sure I have my notes right. Yeah. Okay, it takes rook c1, b. Gotcha. So now in comes the check with. Oh, he went d6, queen d6. Yeah, he can't go d4. That's right, because of the queen. So d6 is forced. Rook c6. Rook takes. B takes. A5 check. Now Bobby would be going for the KO. Check. A4. You gotta love the king hunts. Check. A3. And then A6. And we're threatening a mate. So that gets an exclam mark. In my opinion, I really like A6. It's like it's a silent move saying, I can do that because your king's not safe. I can do that. Also, I have, if you think about running away, I have B4 or B5, and I can pawn storm down the board. But we really don't want to do that because we want to go for an attack. So, alrighty, let's continue onward. Bobby's games had so many different lines of thought. I was like, wow. King h1, f8, and then he played rook to Petrosian played rook to c7, which is actually the proper move. If you think about trying to trade queens off, big mistake. Don't trade queens off. You're going to be in a world of a problem at that point. You can actually let's see here. Knight takes, rotates check. So this move in theory gets it gets an exclam. I really like it. Takes, king d7, bishop f. Remember, this is all about the king hunt. We also pick up 2 rooks for the piece. d6, rook takes c. Now we're attacking the queen. Queen f6, f7, and then rook to e6. And if he comes here, he loses. So he has to actually give up his queen, and it's game over. That's why that was such a sweet move. c7, b4 to attack the queen, c6, and then c4. Exclam. He's opening up the file for the rook. C takes d, and then bishop to f5. One thing you want to do, if you're like I said before as well, if you're going for the king hunt, you're wanting to cut off the squares of flight. So you can't just check randomly. The king would get in here and be safe. So you have to cut him off and then basically go for the KO. So rook f, f7, rook d1, fd, and then Bobby actually gets to pick up an exchange because of how exposed Petrosian's king is. Picks up a whole exchange. Then queen to b8. There is this line if you wanted to, if you're thinking of knight d7, rook f to e1, and now we're threatening mate on f8. So that would not turn out very well for and then e7. If instead of e7, there's an overwhelming attack, but there's a better way to survive for a little while longer. c8, but bang, rook takes. Knight takes, and then queen to d6, and we're pouring on the pressure with a mate threat because the knight's pinned. King e8 to guard that. Queen e6. Now we got a pin, and we also have an attack. King d8, and then rook to f4, and now we're getting everybody into the fight. This gets a sclam. I really like the move. I think it's totally taking advantage of everything. You're using two pins. You have a pin here, and then you have a pin there. It's like, wow. So I played there, and then he checked, and there's no way really to avoid it. The only move that Petrosian has is here, and not there. Yeah, that's mate. Sorry, I forgot that the pin there. So when that was played, Petrosian resigned right here. And the summary, it is worth going over a few Caro-Kann and exchange, just so you know the plans of the Caro-Kann for white, in case the London system ever transposes into the Caro-Kann. It's good that we kind of take a look at a couple of these positions, because the London system is a system. It's not an opening. It has many different ways of handling openings. That's why it's called a system. That's I know I said that a couple times, but if you're not comfortable with the Caro-Kann that we just showed, you can always go into the exchange Slav of the London system. So don't fear, you don't have to follow exactly what we went over here if you're uncomfortable as white moving into the Caro-Kann exchange. Don't worry, there's plenty of other lines that the London system can transpose into, so not to worry, guys. Okay, we're going to do like one or two puzzles, and then I have to log. Yeah. Well, sometimes it all depends on who's handling it, because Bobby handled the Caro-Kann as white, and he beat, well, I believe, in my opinion, at that time, the greatest players, Petrosian. So probably now, because of all the computer lines, I would say you're right about it being more drawish. But during that time, they didn't have Stockfish 9, and then the new and improved engine, Deep Thought, not Deep Thought, Alpha 0. They didn't have Alpha. So I'm sure if Bobby had computers now, I don't really think he would lose. I think Bobby would be unstoppable. He probably would hold the title as long as Alekhine did. But we'll go into some puzzles. So you can't yeah, that's right. Okay, that sounds like a deal. We'll go over those. Okay, alrighty. Yeah, I was like really tired today. Oh, against the Karakhan? Yeah, that'll be fun to go over. You know what? You know what? You have to learn a little bit of everything to know how to do it. Especially that's why I like the London system. It gets a bad rap for being very dry. It does have some dry characteristics to it, or dull, however you want to call it. But it does handle a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, endgame puzzles. You gotta love endgames. We just talked about endgames, didn't we? So yay, we get to do an endgame puzzle. These are fun ones. We're not gonna get that many points because I've noticed that when it's been played like over 2,000 times, we usually get like one. But the amount, how hard it is, usually is lessened as well. So we'll be okay though. As long as we get it right and learn, that's all that matters. Oh, Rook 8. Well, the only problem... well, I guess there really isn't a problem, is there? A7. That does look interesting. I was thinking that he could take here, but I realized if he takes there, we would take knight takes. And then if we'd play here, if he took here, the knight would take, knight takes, and then king would actually come to e3, and we can barricade this pawn and get rid of it. Oh, well, our guys, we work together as a team. That's the whole thing. Our guys work together. Yeah. There we go. That's right. I like that idea. I think that's the only way to win in that line. The only problem with I see with knight to d6 is I think he can take the pawn, and then we would have to actually exchange off, and then he'd have this passer. I think it'd be more drawn at that point. If we did knight I don't know. If we did knight d6, I don't think he could play rook d7 because then we would push the pawn, and this it'd be an unstoppable basically passer. Because if he ever tried to go there, we would just play rook to after the pawns here, rook a8, and we'd get a queen at least, or at least a piece. All right. Alrighty. So yeah, A, B8, B6, King H7. So if we went, okay, let's see, let's work through this line. There, B, okay, 7, knight, oops, knight D6, knight C7, huh. Let's see, if we played A7, rook to B8, maybe we could actually go A6 instead. Let me, oops, yeah. Let's copy this and put it in here. Yeah, I want to see if this, okay, hold on. Okay, King H7, what if we played knight to A6? Yeah, knight A6, there we go. I like that idea, yeah. And then if knight C6, like what you're saying, or C7, I believe we can actually play knight to C6 and we're winning. Well, we don't have to worry about D2 because we can just move our king over. I like that. I like your idea. That is a really good idea. Here, if he moves back there, if he brings his king up, we have A6. If he brings his knight to stop it, C6 or C7, we can at this point go knight to C6 and attack the rook and win it. Yeah, you always have king, you can always play king E2, or king's close enough to stop it. Yeah, I like that idea. That's actually a really good move. Nice. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Do we just move the king over? Do we move king E2? I think we, oh yeah, A5, yeah. Oops, not A6, yep, A5. Yeah. I don't know where I got A6 from. It must be on the brain because of maybe moving the rook to A6 or something. I believe king E2 is the only move that stops, and so king E2, knight to C6, we grab the pawn, and I believe game over at that point. It's game over. I think that's the only move. Wow, this is an interesting game for sure. That's a pretty nice combo. You have to like Black's effort there. We have to play rook takes, but then when he does so, rook takes, knight takes. Huh. Yikesies, yikesies. We take there, he takes here. And then we can always play rook h. Or we just attack the knight. We could just attack the knight there, yeah. I think that's forced. Then if knight takes, I believe we just attack the knight. We just take there, and he takes that. So let's see. There has to be a better move. Oh, so this was the right move, not attacking the knight. Gotcha. Probably more like rook. Oh, yeah. This would also hold to the idea as well. And then you can just take with the, okay, yeah. Well, it's actually 2 pawns up. He has an exchange. We'll do one more and then I got a log. Boy, you guys are doing great. Good work. That was kind of a difficult one to calculate because you had to factor in a lot of different move sequences, but yeah. There was a better move. They're going to attack his knight and rook. Yep, exactly. You got it. You got it. That was correct. That was the best move. The attack of the rook and the pawn. Not rook. I mean the knight and the pawn. We have a rook in the prior one. Okay, let's see what do we got here. Well, as long as you got it, that's what matters. As long as you learned from it, that's the whole point. Boy, this is a not a fun one. Our bishop's under heavy assault right now. We can take his queen. Yeah, you have to keep the in the prior one. You have to keep the rook on the 7th, shoulder the king out of there. Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Let me get you. Hold on. Let me get you the number so you guys can work on it, because it's always fun to go over that if you guys have any questions. That's the number if you guys are wondering. Hold on. There we go. We'll go to the next one now. Okay. That's the number for the prior one if you guys want to put it into your system and go over it, because you should do that. I'm looking at here potentially bishop c6, but should be an interesting one for sure. That is an interesting idea for sure. Rook takes, and then queen there. Because if he takes, then we mate him. And if he moves his king, so if we take here, rook takes, queen h, and let's say he doubles up. Oh, true. Actually, we could just grab the pawn. Actually, if we if rook, this is actually we can actually pick up a pawn if he doubles. So this is the line I see. Rook takes e4. Rook takes e4. Queen h3. Queen h3. If rook doubles up on rook f e1, we can play queen takes f3 check. And then we can then go for a pretty sizable attack with once the king moves. We can actually do a bishop battery attack. I remember what Economy says. He always says this: go if they give you the material, take the material. That's what he always. Economy always says it. At one time he says, "What do we do?" That's what he wrote in there, and I loved it. I was like, I know what we take the material. So let's take the material. And boom, there we go. Good work, guys. You guys have any questions? Oh, I'll give you this puzzle because you guys can work through it. This is a really fun one. Oops. 9, 1, 6, 7, 3. I believe that's it. Yeah. If he tries doubling here, I'll show you guys what the idea was. Takes. The king moved, then you can actually play this type of a battery if he plays there. You could always just go back here. Now you stopped it, and this pawn is now forever barricaded. Sometimes you just got to barricade. We're up a whole piece. We get our king into the fight. Even if we traded our queen off for these two rooks, we still can get our king in and take the pawn, so we're good. You guys got any questions before I log off? Congrats, by the way. We're 2 for 2. Good job. Good work, guys. Do you guys have any other outlines for this puzzle? I'll give you guys a minute. So when it reaches 122, I will say adieu. If you have any questions. Oh, can we see the? Oh, right, perfect. King F1. That's that is the line. See? If we go there, he goes King G1. If we go Bishop to C6, pawn, and then Bishop to E8. Oh, Rook E4 to E2. Is that the line that you're looking at, Fox? You have any other ones you're looking at besides that? I'll give you a sec to a minute to put in. If you do, I'll give you guys till 1:23, just because it's okay. 1:24. I'll give you another minute because sometimes there's a lag on this, and it'll give you guys enough time. Okay, we'll go over it. I always have time. Just we'll go over this really efficiently, though. Can't really do a lot of verbal orientation on it, but we'll go over one because that's what we usually do, is go over a engine game. So you can post it and then we'll go over it. We'll vote for, I like this one. Alright, let's do it to it. Come on, don't lag them in now. Nice. Oops, I gotta turn off the engine. There we go. 6, 95, sweet. Bishop. Oh, boy, I've had that played on me before. Yep, the classic variation of the French. Ooh, the Alekhine Chad variation. Bishop takes. Yeah, I gotta say, if he takes, I'm just gonna show you. If he takes here, this you really don't want to take if you're black. This just opens a big can of worms. You don't want to. You do not want, or a bitter apple you don't want to bite into, or a lemon or a fruit that's very bitter you don't want to bite into. It makes you feel really. Ugh. Makes you have a puckered face. There. So it's better to do what black did. Just allow the trade-off and not go into the Alekhine Chad variation. Okay, B5, 97, C5. Okay, basically very similar. This is reminds me very similar of the, not Rubinstein, because Rubinstein would have the knight on D2, Tarrasch variation, but more advanced because of how positionally these pawns are. It's more of an advanced. It's a muddled mess, let's just say, for white. But still, with what white did here, guys, white's winning because white was able to keep this locked, in the French, if you can't as a French player break down the center, you're in a world of hurt, because this dark squared bishop's horrible. I mean, light squared bishop's horrible for black. Castles, castles, king d7, d2, f2, not d2, f5. White doesn't want to do that because that would open up the rook, so he wants to keep it closed. Bishop f4, or h4, h3 I mean. You guys know what I mean. Queen f7, queen d3, rook, rook fc8, queen nice. And I see. Then wham. If he takes. Oh, nice. That's a nice. Yeah, you're threatening. This is an old time setup here. I don't know if it actually works. No. It's too bad this knight wasn't here. I'll show you something. If this knight moved, I'll show you. This is a certain pattern. And it should end up that you get a queen. Yep, there's the setup, and then mate it to follow. Boom. But because that knight's on e7, that idea does not work out for us, because the knight can block at that point. After you traded both rooks off and check and go down to h7 or h8. But that was a pattern that was really interesting. Wow, rookie. Okay. Check. Wowzers. And yeah, it's basically over at this moment. Okie dokie. Really efficiently. Do you have any questions before I log off? I'll take that as a nope. Okay. And are you sure there's nothing? You sure there's no questions on here? Just for really quick summary up. You're good? Okay, perfect. There you go. Okay, guys, thank you for logging on. We're doing good. We have to go over a game. That's fun. We got 2 out of 2. Great job. Congrats. Keep pushing forward, guys. We're moving from our plateau, like Bruce Lee said. There are no limits. We're pushing beyond our limits. There are plateaus. We were on a plateau. Now we're going straight up to the next one. And like Maurice Ashley says, I love the plateau. Don't stay there. And remember, go beyond that. Never go beyond them. Never be satisfied with where you are. Keep pushing forward. And the principle also applies to knowing is not enough. You must apply. So willing is not enough. You must do. And if we can follow Hannibal Smith's idea, and Aikido added right to it, will be unstoppable. Of you be the one to push the position. Sometimes you have to retreat, let your opponent come in, and then right at the right moment, you bring the hammer down and you win. So guys, remember, we're like coal. Under great pressure comes a diamond. So just keep that in mind. And as well, we're the ones that sit down at the table, hang up our coat, hang up our hat, and do the chess problem that most people don't want to do. We do it, and we move from the plateau we're at to a whole nother level. Okay, great job, guys. And I'll leave you with those thoughts. As Wesley So says, for the Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless. See you guys next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, guys. And thank you for logging on again. And Lord willing, I'll be back. And bring your games. More than merrier. We'll come and go over them. Continue to get better. And we'll go over our puzzles, our studies, and a game or two. Good work, guys. Keep pushing forward. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Bye bye, guys. Be blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.